Good evening, everyone. I think it's evening or is it night time, whatever it is this evening to me. I'm on a wee bit earlier tonight, so I don't know if that's a pleasant surprise or a shock for some, depending on who you are. I want to, again, as usual, start off with some brief updates on the Community Association work. I mentioned a while back about the two bus trips that we've organised. That's a 50 plus bus trip and a 30 plus one. The 50 plus one has been fully booked because we've limited numbers and there's a maximum of 30 people on that bus. And it was no sooner was it advertised that within a day or two people had such an interest, and we could have got two buses and put 30 in each if we had, but we were restricted funding and different things that we only could put on one for this trip. I just want to briefly talk about what will happen on the 30 or the 50 plus one. It'll be that it'll be leaving the community centre on Saturday the 19th of September, and at 10:15, at 10:30 at the latest. We'll be going to Greencastle. We'll be going via the Newcastle route. People can stop off in Newcastle if they want for half an hour to stretch their legs. Then we go to Greencastle, and then we get the ferry to Greenore, which people are really looking forward to. Then from Greenore, we head up to Carningford, where lunch will be provided along with one or two drinks. And I emphasise the fact it's one or two drinks. If people want to buy one or two more, that's their choice. After the lunch, which is due around 2 p.m. on Saturday, people will have the option of staying in the Carningford Arms, or if they want to walk around Carningford for an hour. But we're going to focus on the fact that the bus must leave around 5 p.m. on a Saturday evening. The 30 plus trip, there's a few spaces available on that at this moment in time. It's supposed to be a secret, but it's a secret that's not very well kept. And I don't want to dwell on it too much because Edwina's looking after that. It is going to be a fantastic day out for the over 30 age group. We try to divide the age group as much as possible and trying our best to cater for everybody. The Community Association, thankfully, last week received an advance payment of £1,200 from the COVID-19 Emergency Fund. This was, I believe I talked about this before, is basically for three different projects, including one for senior citizens. It could be food provision or utility provision, and one for teenagers. We'll start working on those as soon as possible. And I'll mention about the Respect Project, which starts on the 16th of September, Wednesday the 16th of September, from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Originally that was for the 12 to 16 age group, but now it's changed to the 10 to 16 age group. It's very important people are aware that you must register with this, and there's a link on our Facebook page that you click on to go, and I highly recommend people because it is a fantastic hour and a half out in the fresh air for children. There'll be fun activities, five-a-side football, and spot prizes. I want to take this opportunity now to move on, Cal, to some. I wasn't here last Thursday to send out belated 30th birthday greetings to Kathy Gorman from Drumalane Park. As I said, Kathy was Thursday, was 30, shall I say, last Thursday. Belated greetings to you, Kathy. Next will be the council officials will be calling to our community centre next Wednesday morning. I'll be there along with another committee member. Basically, it has to do a risk assessment prior to the community centre opening, which is people will appreciate is very important. At that, they'll be obviously telling us about what measures have to be put in place before any type of activity will be allowed to happen in the centre. It's my understanding that it could be the 28th of September for the opening, but again, as we know, with the way circumstances are, things can change on not a weekly basis but a daily basis. And again, I don't need to stress this, there will be limited numbers, in many cases probably very limited number, because they'll measure the main floor, the main hall in the centre, and work out then how many people would be safe to have within that amount of space. Still on the subject of the council, I rang them today about the brown bins not been emptied in Drumalane and Quayside Close today. I actually made the mistake, and I'm sure people know, I told council officials with the green bins and CCA, but don't do them. So I had explained that I'm colour blind, and I'm not going to say what our response was on the phone. I said, they look green to me, but we're clear to that anyway. To cut a long story short, those bins will be lifted tomorrow morning along with the black bins. The Community Association will be delivering activity packs for senior citizens sometime next week. These were left in our centre by Gerry McGill, and I want to thank her from the Trust. These will contain puzzle books and all relevant health and safety information, and they're an excellent thing for people who are in the house, whether isolating or not isolating. There's very relevant information on that for that senior citizen age group. At the request of residents, Liz Kimmins, MLA, recently ensured that the overgrown hedges and shrubs, which were nothing short of disgrace, run along part of the path from Dromalane to Quayside Close, because they were used as, prior to that photograph, used for dumping every type of things. And residents apparently dumping stuff from garden materials to God knows what else. But now it's been cleaned up, and thank you. But it's very important that we as a community make sure that it's kept that way. But just as important to me and us is that whereas the housing executive or any relevant statutory agency, they have a legal obligation to ensure that any issues of concern like that are addressed. And I can assure you that we as a committee, and as for me personally, will making sure to live up to those obligations. The boring bit, but the bit now that I'll move on to that has no photograph, will be the housing, sort of a housing news update. During the week I attended a housing community network meeting. It'll take me a long time to explain to people what that consists of, but it's community reps and housing executive officials meeting again. I have to stress it was done via Zoom, and at that we found out district office performance, as well as plan schemes and details of new houses being built. And it's very interesting. It's a very positive thing that's here, that we as community workers can have an input in some way into policies within the housing executive. Before that, there was 3 verbal presentations. They were all excellent, but the one I was interested, I'm sure all people there was into, was one about community safety and the way forward in tackling antisocial behaviour. And it was absolutely fantastic the way it was put across, and congratulations to all concerned. There's a thing called an ECM scheme, that's an external maintenance scheme, due to take place in both Dromalane and Quayside Close this November. But the way things are, this November could turn into next February, but I'm very hopeful that it will be done this November. And basically what that will entail is the outside of people's houses will be painted. There was a few people went around last week, I think the week before, asking tenants that they want their houses painted, and as I said yesterday, if I said no, it's not compulsory, but it'd be very funny for people to say no, I don't want them painted. It will also include the external works in the house, that any repairs or things that replacements had to be done on the outside of the house that are part of HEI housing executive property, that would have to be rectified. Regrettably, as my information is, the kitchen scheme for Quayside Close will not now take place to 2023. I was very disappointed at that, because as a few years ago, I and others on the committee were told at one of these HCM meetings that they would look into the possibility of bringing that forward. I do understand there's a 20-year time scale in relation to kitchen replacements and things like that are within the housing exec, but as we as a community group will do our best to get that brought forward at least a year, because people have to understand, I be in a lot of houses in both Dromalane and Quayside, and there's a lot of kitchens in Quayside Close, and not been disrespectful to people who look after well or past their sell-by date, to say the least. I'm also continually been asked, obviously, about the new housing project that radios are presently building, when they're going to be allocated and things like that there. My last information was August, that was before August, but now it's changed to October. But in saying that, I have to stress the fact that these things can change at a moment's notice. So as I get information, I can assure people that I will, will put it on Facebook or through this medium. I will let people know, because people know I represent people in relation to getting proper affordable housing, something that I'm totally committed to. Can I just offer my deepest sympathy and that of our committee to Marion Ray from Drumalane Park and our family circle on the recent death of our father, Benny Rice from Barcroft Park. He died recently there, and may rest in peace. And that's by some mention to well done again to local community activist Barry Small. I was talking to him today and he was explaining all that he'd done this last week. He continues to keep the monument at the entrance of Dromalane clean and tidy, but also has planted flowers at the entrance to the community centre at the door, and it looks fantastic. And all of that there is deeply appreciated. Congratulations to and well done to my granddaughter Chloe Ferrari from Quayside Close. I had her on one week in relation to our love for Gaelic football, and this is one of the reasons, not me show, well, probably is me showing favouritism, but that's the way things are. And from Quayside and the Crossmaglen Rangers under 16 team, who won the championship final against Armagh Harps last Sunday. She'll also be playing in the under 14 final against Drummond on the 20th of September, and good luck to her and all associated with Crossmaglen Rangers. I've been told, which I usually been told, that most things that happens within our community, that there's talk of the community watch here been sort of more proactive over the next few months in light of a few incidents that have been taking place that people have been complaining about, and also the fact that there's been some strangers seen coming in and out of our community, acting suspiciously, and obviously coming into the dark nights. Members of the community watch have said that we're going to have to come out more certain times, not saying when they're coming out, different other things, and to monitor the situation. It's important that I stress that the community watch has nothing to do with our community associations. It is a separate identity. My sincere thanks to everyone who has to date sponsored me for my, it's called the Track Up Sleeve Donor for Pip's hope and support. And also a special mention to fellow committee member Joey Larkin, who went out and got me sponsorship, and that's very much appreciated. And also Gary asked me to thank everyone who has sponsored him to date. There's an issue before I go that I keep saying, I wouldn't want to mention what I'm saying, it's the issue of trolleys. That there's people in Quayside Close, people in Dromalane come to me for some reason complained about. I counted 11 or 12 trolleys scattered all over the place. At this stage, I'm not going to ask people to stop doing it, because people have been asked to do it and it's not. So as the onus is now on Sainsbury's to ensure that these aren't taken from their stores, and if so, that they retrieve them at the earliest possible date. I'll be contacting Sainsbury's sometime tomorrow to tell them to take the ones that's scattered all over both Drumalane and Quayside Close. They're not only unsightly, but in these present circumstances, they are dangerous. We don't know who's touched them. We don't know if a child has touched them. We don't, and I'm not exaggerating here. Some people might say, no, that's me being silly. It's me being realistic in the present crisis that we're under. And not a fine thing here is I took the liberty of a video that was taken in 1992, I believe, around about it was for our ever popular Gala Weeks, and it shows you at the start of these Gala Weeks there was always a fancy dress parade, and it started off in what was then known as Fadden Park and is now known as Quayside Close, and can write down. So it's in two parts. I want to thank my son Colin for doing this one, because it was a very large video and I only took segments out of it. So could you do that, the fourth section there, Cal? Thank you. The sound might be a bit down, but I'm sure some people will recognise some people because they know what I do, and I don't want to be embarrassed. And that's my community house, I believe. And there's Robbie McAteer, there's my wife Nora. I'm not sure that's on her at the far side. And I can imagine that some of those children have now grown up and have children of their own, so they can show that there to their children. And that's definitely Amber there, and that's Damien McCavitt. And I'm sure some people, when they do see that, might be slightly embarrassed. Uh, the hairstyles were fantastic. I don't know who were imitated. Definitely wasn't Olivia Newton-John. I can assure you of that. That thing was called Drumalane Community Association, but then it was changed to Drumalane and Quayside Close Community Association. Fancy dress at them days were very basic. That's Russian, Calvin now, Russian McCune. I think the Gal Queen was on that chart, and she was. I think you can see now, Jal, if you have it there, the second part of that video, if you haven't, I'm in trouble. I'll have to waffle on, which will obviously bore people with a very look at the video. This is that's leaving what was in Falcon Park. The innocence, the innocence. Fantastic community spirit, and hopefully we as a committee and we as a community will bring our community back to those days. We call them the good old days they are, when everybody looked after each other and the community spirit was second to none. Our gala weeks were unbelievably well known, popular, and talked about from throughout Newry and beyond. We long for the day that we're able to do that again. Sure, people will recognise. I don't think they'll recognise it. They probably will recognise themselves because that's 1992, so it's nearly 30 years ago. That's how we were shouting something for some reason. I recognise that voice. That's Muscles Terry McKay. That's my that's my sister Tina, Laurie Mercer, who's no longer, and sadly, Molly Patterson, who's sadly no longer, but everybody knew. My sister, Teresa Bradley. You see now, that video continues right down, but it's too long to show. And Cal will complain about put on a 20-minute video. It means I just have to sit here and say nothing and let the video speak for itself. It shows you people from there. We go down into what's called the backfield area beside the community centre, and there's music and a disco and absolutely fantastic crack down there. Thanks very much for that, Cal. Finally, congratulations and good luck to all the children from our community that will be making their first Holy Communion this Saturday. A very special occasion, I'm sure people will agree. My grandson Shay, like so many other children, are really looking forward to it, and I can assure you are very excited about this very special occasion, as well as obviously the proud parents. As everyone knows, this was supposed to take place in May, and there was concern that it might be next year before it's on due to the present crisis, but thankfully we have it now on Saturday, even though there's limitations and numbers and limitations what parents and children can do in regard to celebrations and all that. I've always said I'm sure parents will be the most important thing is that children are making their first communion, and I wish them all well, and also good luck to everyone in our parish who will be making their confirmation, and God bless them all. I think that's me for now. Carl, I should have put on that half-hour video. I wouldn't have had to talk so much.